say goodbye to old and outdated. This one is getting an incredible makeover. It's been in my garage a while, so it's pretty dirty. We've got to get this thing cleaned up so we can even see what we're working with. I'm using Crud Cutter. It's a degreaser cleaner. All right, now you can really see it, that finish. Kind of a mess. I don't know what that is. Something crusty. Okay, so we got to get this hardware off. First things first, and then start sanding. So originally I felt like I'm going to sand this off, and it was just coming off that I felt like the carbide scraper is really going to just have at this. And that was the right call, because if you use a carbide scraper, you can see that I'm not putting much pressure on, and that finish is just crumbling. It's really so failed that it's just coming off like in little crystals, little bits. So it's so satisfying when it just comes off like that. Now back to sanding, an entirely different process. I did not plan on stripping this piece because I know what the plan is already. I know I'm painting it. Don't come at me. This was the plan for this piece right from the beginning. You can see this is in real time. The entire finish is just coming right off. I wish this was a piece that I actually was stripping and keeping, because wow, I never get this lucky that the finish just comes right off. But sure enough, it's just like nothing. Got to do something about this silver strip though. I have never seen one in there. It's wood with this metal on top of it. But we'll make quick work of that and rip that right out of there. Now that I've got it down for the first one, the second one, no problem. But you'll see it's wood with the metal attached to it. So that needed to go, but it did leave some wood behind. Nothing a putty knife and a mallet can't handle. Just get that out of there, just so I don't have to do quite as much sanding. Back to sanding and stripping off that finish. This is going, I have this sped up, but it really is super fast. This didn't take very long. Usually sanding takes hours and hours, but this went so fast. And since I've got the majority of the sanding done, time to clean. The messy stuff's over. But now I need to fill in all of those holes. The hardware holes, there is some missing veneer in some places. I need to fill in that entire area that had that silver trim piece. I have a Bondo spreader that just makes life so much easier with Bondo. So they're super cheap. Pick those up on Amazon, it's worth it. All right, and while the Bondo's setting up, I'm gonna mix some paint because I wanna make a new color. I love doing this. I just get a stir stick and I'm going 1 dot of each. Let's stir it up and see what it makes. And it wasn't enough, so I'm adding more black. And that's pretty close to the color I want, maybe a little darker. So I figured it was kind of 2 to 1. I had 2 black and 2 parts black, 1 part gray. And it wasn't quite light enough, so a little more gray. I'm using Elemental Gray and Bold Black Evolution line of Farmhouse, and I created a custom dark gray. Time to sand down the Bondo. And a good cleaning, getting all the dust and everything off, putting the drawers back in. Make sure you number your drawers when you take them out, because they always want to go back in their correct position. Okay, I want to add some feet, but oh, the whole back side of this dresser doesn't have anything, so we've got to fix that, and a 2x4 is going to fix that. So I just mark it the length that I need, cut it, and then I've got to remove this metal foot. It's on a lot of vintage furniture. They look like they don't come out, or they screw in or something, but they do come out. But look at those jagged little teeth on there. Make sure you don't leave that laying around, because I think that's going to go right through your shoe. All right, those feet are going to work. Now we need to get that 2x4 really secured. So I glue it on the side and the bottom. I'm going to put some brad nails in. These are 1.5 inch brad nails. And I'm going to put them right through the side. I also have this little square piece that I'm going to use to make this a little more stable. You see these often, they're almost in every joint like that in furniture. So I'm just replacing that because I want to make that a little more stable. Same thing on the other side. Lots of glue, my little stabilizer, lots of brad nails. And of course, when you put the feet on there, it's also going to help stabilize everything because it's going down the side and the back. Into the spray tent we go, and it's prime time. This is when the transformation really starts. I'm using Insulux Sticks primer. It is tinted in gray. I always use gray primer. I think it has the best coverage, even when I'm painting in white. Whew, I love that sprayer. Okay, after everything gets a chance to dry really well, you always want to sand primer. I know there's lots of all-in-one paints, and I'm actually going to be using one, but I really don't like to skip this layer. So I sanded it, I dusted it, and now we're on to some paint. And again, this is Evolution by Farmhouse. Look at that coverage. This is just one coat. I have my sprayer turned all the way up on air and the paint flow all the way down. So these are light coats, but this paint has amazing coverage. So no streaks here. Look at that. That's just the first coat. After it dries, same thing. I go in with my sanding sponge, sand everything down. Second coat of paint. It's a beauty. I love that finish. Okay, so I paint with the drawers in. A lot of people ask, okay, you paint with the drawers in, do they stick? No, because you can see there's no paint around the edges of the drawers. I go in with a small little poly brush and just use some paint there and get everything all touched up. I do this in between coats and certainly before the top coat. And here is the top coat. I did several coats of top coat. I spray this, of course, let it dry. I go back in and sand again, and then more top coat. But again, just loving that amazing finish. I did find one drawer guide that has a little split in it. I thought it would be better to repair it than just completely replace it. So brad nails to secure it, some glue down the middle and clamps. This will be good as new. Okay, this is my most risky move, I think. I have this piece beautifully painted, top coated, and now I'm going to flip it upside down on a blanket. This is risky because any little piece of dust or anything, and I'm going to get a scratch on there. So I put down a really fuzzy blanket, and I needed to flip it upside down because I wanted to secure the legs on there. I did drill pilot holes for everything, so this is happening quickly. Flip it back over, and thankfully, my gamble paid off. There was no damage to the top. Now it's time to drill the holes for new hardware. Again, I like to do this sometimes before I start painting, but that didn't happen on this one. So we're doing it now. I have a piece of tape on everything and I'm marking center. My poles are long. They're 7.5 inches, so I have my holes spread out. But my jig is not as long as my drawer, so I went and marked center on all of them because this little notch in my jig will tell me when I'm at center, and then I can mark my holes. And there I have my holes marked. I used a nail. And I am using a 3/16 drill bit. I go in and I drill the first 2 holes. I get my pole and I just verify, yep, those are the right spacing, because you don't want to have to fix 6 drawers. And start getting that hardware installed. Use a jig, everything should go on just right. Okay, now time for drawer liners. I don't like to put in a whole bunch of drawer liner and cut the edges. It drives me crazy, so I measure everything carefully. I use this construction square and go ahead and cut everything right to size for the drawer. I dry fit it, make sure it all works, make sure it's all very clean. Peel the paper off. I'm going to seat it right into the drawer, smooth it out, and then I use a plastic putty knife to make sure that all of the air bubbles are out. Let's take one last look at where we started, and here's where we are. I wanted a dark and moody, kind of masculine vibe, and I think this turned out exactly what I had in mind, just how I envisioned it. I hope you like it, and make sure to follow for more.